This show proves that, yeah, Oz is not a good person. I just can't fuck with him anymore. Here are my immediate thoughts on episode 7 of season 1 of The Penguin. Hey everyone, this is Lenny here. So we're just going to get into episode 7 of season 1 of The Penguin. This episode was titled Top Hat. And this is just another great episode, another panic-inducing episode. This show just gives me panic attacks on top of panic attacks. So last week on The Penguin, Sofia had Vic and Oz's mom Francine basically dead to rights. Oz has consolidated all of the other crime families under him to go against Sofia and Salvatore Maroni, and Vic became a cold-blooded murderer shooting Squid in the neck. So just to reiterate, this is a spoiler review and recap, so unless you haven't seen episode 7 of The Penguin, I suggest for you to go back, watch that, then come back here and watch the review and recap because we got a lot of shit to talk about. So we get our cold open with Islands in the Stream performed by Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers, and it's a flashback. And at first we see Oz as a young boy and young Francis together. It seems like Francis is working on some books, on some financials. Oz is trying to get her love or approval. He's trying to distract her. He's trying to get her to watch a movie. And then we see that Oz's brothers come into the mix. And it's clear that Oz is kicking some middle child energy. It seems like he isn't getting the love and approval from his mother that he believes he is owed. And it's clear that he has an Oedipus complex. This guy is a mama's boy through and through, but a mama's boy, honestly, on a pretty disturbing bent. Now, whether it's because his brothers are more able-bodied than he is, or his mother is more willing to let his older brother get involved with Rex Calabrese, the one gangster that he's always looked up to, whatever it is, there is some jealousy that Oz stems from his brothers. So it seems like Frances was cooking the books for Rex Calabrese. She gives a book to Oz's oldest brother. He really doesn't want to have anything to do with Rex at all. He just gives the book to Rex. Rex gives him $50. Oz is super impressed, and I get it because I remember when I was younger, $50 seemed like it was a lot of money. But it's clear Oz looks up to Rex Calabrese, the gangster. He idolizes him. There's a little funny moment where the three cowboys are looking at Rex's car, his gold car, and the youngest Cobb son is like, oh my god, is it all gold? And the oldest Cobb son is like, no, it's just paint. But that doesn't matter. It is the appearance of status that Rex Calabrese has that is what is so attractive to Oz as a young child. Now, the next scene, the young boys go into the sewers. They're playing flashlight hide and seek, basically. And I'm not going to lie, I actually had a bit of a panic attack during this scene. See, when I was a teenager, there were a couple friends of mine that died in the sewer. The sewer flooded. They were basically playing like Ninja Turtles and it rained really heavily and 2 of my friends passed away. So this particular scene hit a little too close to home for me. I was really uncomfortable watching it. Oz's brothers, they hide in the sewer. They tell Oz, hey, you have to count all the way to 10. Oz cheats, and it's pretty obvious that Oz was always a cheater and was always someone looking for shortcuts. Well, his brothers, they hide in the sewer, and they hide in the lower depths of the sewer. That seems to be where the trolley section of Gotham is. And Oz, as a young child, even picks up the token. But he doesn't want to go down the lower depths of the sewer. He tries to go down the ladder, and he's like, you know what, screw this, I'm not doing this. So instead of just being a normal child and being like, I don't want to have any part of this, I'm just going home, he locks his brothers in that lower system of the sewers and just leaves them there because he's a psychopath. So Oz returns home, and it's clear from this moment that Oz has always been a sociopath. He has always been a psychopath. He returns, his mom is all, where are your brothers? And Oz reiterates that they went to the movies without him. She's like, why didn't you just go with him? I didn't want you going home alone. And Oz is like, I can take care of myself. And obviously that's a big thing with Oz, being independent and being able to take care of himself and being able to be a provider as well. That is something that comes down the line later on in this episode. But Oz cuddles up with his mom. They go and watch his favorite movie, which is Top Hat, his screwball comedy from the late 30s with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. And there's a lot going on in terms of that being his favorite movie. Obviously, with Fred Astaire being someone who is quick on his feet and is a great dancer, that's something that Oz is able to live vicariously through. There's also a moment where Fred Astaire is shooting down his own dancers, and obviously that's something that Oz would relate to as well. But as all of this is going, the scene edits back to the brothers. We don't see them, we only hear them, and oh god, the sound design for this episode is off the charts. We hear the rain, we hear the boys pleading for anyone to open the door to help them out, and then eventually we hear them drowning, and it cuts back and forth between that and Oz and his mother watching the movie, and Oz has no reaction. He does not care about what is happening. His mother is like, what movie did they say they went to see? And Oz is like, Beetlejuice. But it doesn't matter. Oz does not care. He wanted all of the affection of his mother to himself, and it seems like everything is a competition between Oz and the rest of the world. And again, that's something that we see play out in this episode. But once it's revealed that Oz basically was responsible for the death of his brothers, at this point, I am 100% Team Sofia. I cannot fuck with this guy. I cannot root for this guy. He is irredeemable as a character to me at this point. And even if I do expect Sofia to take an L as we're going into Batman 2 and Oz is going to be the main villain, I don't care. I want this guy to lose. So after the cold open, we get Oz returning back to Crown Point. The power is on after he threatened that councilman and he was able to get the power out. But when Oz returns to the apartment where Vic and his mother were staying at, the doors open. Oz takes his gun out. Vic is knocked unconscious. And Oz is like, where is my mom? And he's just dizzy. He's dazed. He doesn't know what's going on. He just remembers that he was dancing with his mom and then he was knocked out. He doesn't know where his mom went. And Oz just is like, get an army. You need to talk with the triads and the other families. We need to figure this out. I'm going to have to take on Sofia head on. And Vic is like, hey, I am so sorry. And Oz is like, fuck the guilt. And again, that is something that does come into play and is a bit of an insight into Oz's head, because he feels no guilt for anything that he does, and that includes the murder of his own brothers. But just as Vic is able to leave, Oz notices that Sal and his crew are there. Sal enters, and Sal is so pissed, and I get it. Oz torched his wife and his son. Sal has the golf club from the last episode and is beating Oz within an inch of his life with it. But he can't kill Oz. He has an agreement with Sofia to keep Oz alive, and Oz tries to taunt Sal's like, oh, Sofia has you on a short leash, and Sal is like, nah, we're gonna kill you. We just haven't decided how we're going to do it yet, but bet you're dead. But Sal calls Sofia to confirm that he has Oz, and Oz is pleading with Sofia not to hurt his mother. And you can see that there's a little bit of joy from Sofia and Sal knowing that Oz is suffering so much, knowing that the circumstance with his mother is out of his control. The next scene is really interesting. It's Sofia and Oz's mother, Frances. And this is just a great scene between two great actors, Christin Milioti and Deidre O'Connor. And Sofia is talking with Oz's mother, and she's like, I thought you were dead. Oz told me so much. And Oz's mom is like, yeah, well, marks are pretty easy to spot, calling Sofia a mark for Oz. And the scene between them is just so great. And Sofia is being as calm as she can as Frances just completely lays into her. She's like, hey, Oz is going to torch you the same that he torched Sal's wife and kid. He's gonna put a bullet in your pretty head. You think you've played the game, you don't know Oz. And Sofia's like, clearly you're confident in your son. And she's like, yeah, I am. When everything's done, I'm gonna be tap dancing on your grave like Ginger Rogers. Frances is just wilding out, but Sofia does something very interesting. She's like, I didn't know a whole lot about your family, and it's kind of interesting. I know the basics about Oz. He grew up without a father, and his brothers apparently are dead, or at least that's what he claims. Maybe they're in a slum as well. And when she brings up the sons, it triggers a dementia incident in Frances, and she goes to the window and she starts talking about how it was raining and she's supposed to go and look for her kids. And Sofia does notice this, and she's like, where do you think you are right now? And Frances snaps out of it. She slaps Sofia and she's like, yeah, we'll see what's going to happen next. Sofia doesn't do anything. It's a great scene, and again, Christin Milioti is just so good at just having so many layers to her character and withholding so much information. She has such a great poker face, while Deidre O'Connor is just wild as this gangster's mother who is so confident that he's going to win. And like I said, she just lays into Sofia. It is funny. It is also harrowing when you see her switch into her dementia. The next scene is Dr. Julian Rush Theorossi approaching Sofia and letting her know that Gia, the young girl that was left alive when she basically gassed all of the Falcones, is starting to talk and might be even talking to the police. So Julian is like, hey, do you need me to take care of this? And Sophia's like, no, I got this. But she does ask Julian Rush for his help when it comes to Oz's mother once she realizes her dementia. So the next scene is an ambush where Salvatore Maroni and his crew basically start shooting at some of Oz's crew in his lair, and he's like, hey, we're taking over, start packing up all these drugs, it all belongs to the Maronis and the Gigantes. Oz starts talking shit. He's trying to stall, and he says some of the most insane things. He's all like, hey, what kind of hairspray did your wife have? Because she went up in flames so fast and is doing everything he can to elicit some sort of emotional response from Salvatore. And he's able to the point where Oz's team is able to get the lights to go out and a big shootout ensues. Oz and Salvatore have a big fight. It's a really messy battle. I really like the fight choreography because it felt really realistic. But then the craziest thing happens. Salvatore has a heart attack in the middle of their fight. It happens so suddenly that even Oz is like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening? Sal has this heart attack and Oz is like, no, we're supposed to have this fight. I'm supposed to beat you. He jumps on top of Sal's dying body and has to say, I beat you. Sal, look at me, I beat you, I won. Oz is full of so many insecurities that he has to shit talk a dead man just so he can feel better about himself. So Oz basically loses his shit when he realizes, yeah, I beat you, Salvatore Maroni, and unloads his entire gun on his body. Oz comes out, the rest of his crew has clearly dispatched all of Salvatore Maroni's men, and Oz is like, hey, you guys did good, you protected your investment, you protected your home, but we're not done. A storm is coming, we need to be ready. The next scene is Sofia at the children's home, and she's visiting Gia. And Sofia immediately is able to catch on to the parallels between what Gia is experiencing in this children's group home and what Sofia experienced when she was at Arkham, and just the isolation that Gia is in and everything that she's feeling. And you can tell that Sofia is feeling a lot of different emotions having to leave Gia behind, but she does approach Gia and tries to ask, what Gia saw, if she saw anything. And Gia's like, I saw a mask. And that's a big deal, because if she's able to report that to the Gotham police, that would obviously connect Sofia as the main suspect, since everyone in the Falcone mansion died of carbon monoxide poisoning. So at first, Sofia is like, why would you think that I would do something so awful? And then she notices that Gia is scratching herself. She has some self-harm wounds, and these are very reminiscent of the wounds that Sofia gave herself on her neck when she stayed at Arkham. And she would have nightmares and she would scratch her neck. So she noticed these wounds, these self-inflicted wounds, and it flipped a switch in Sofia. She embraced Gia and basically whispered to Gia straight up, hey, these people were bad and they're dead, and I'm happy they're dead. And when you get out, you're gonna make something of your life, and you won't have to worry about this horrible family legacy anymore. You will be on your own and you will be better for it. So it seems like Sofia is leaving Gia behind because she doesn't want her involved in any of this crime family, this Giagante Falcone shit. I sort of see what she's doing. It is still sort of a raw deal she is giving Gia, leaving her at that children's home. I always wonder if that's something that's going to come up and bite her in the ass, or if that's going to be something that turns into canon in the future. But this is, again, another moment where Christin Milioti's acting is just fantastic as she leaves the room where Gia is in, and Sofia just absolutely breaks down because she knows exactly what she's doing. She feels she's doing the best leaving Gia behind, but it is still a very hard decision she is making, keeping her at that group home. Now, Sofia gets a phone call. She thinks it's Sal, but when the phone is answered, it is Oz, and he's like, hey, Sal is dead. Now, look, just bring my mom to me, and I will give you everything. You wanted the keys to the Empire. That's what you've always wanted. I've known this for as long as I've known you. You want the Empire, so just give me my mother, safe and sound, and you'll get the bliss, you'll get the Empire, you'll get everything you want. So Sofia is with Dr. Julian Rush in the next scene, and he's using that hypnotist light that sort of looks like Kit's lights from Knight Rider. I just aged myself big time. But Sofia is having a crisis. She's like, Salvatore is dead, and Oz wants me to bring his mother. And Rush is like, this is a trap. And Sofia knows this, but she's having a crisis. It's like she's having an existential crisis. She starts having a panic attack. She's like, when I was younger, my dad said that he was going to basically give me the family business, but then he framed me for all of these murders, and then he put me in an institution, and then when I got out, I walked right into another one. I can't do this anymore. I need to do something else with my life. We need to do something different. I can't play the same games that my dad is playing. And Julian Rush is asking, what do you want to do? What do you want? And Sofia says that she wants freedom, and for Oz to feel pain. So the next scene is great. As we get to the end of the episode, we have an SUV showing up at Oz's lair. Everyone is thinking that this is going to be Sofia and the exchange, the trade-off. Oz has all of his men hide because obviously this is supposed to be set up to be an ambush or to be a trap. But the SUV stops at a certain distance, and Oz is like, what's going on? His phone rings. And we get this really cool edit where Oz is talking to Sofia, and Sofia is like, I realize that everyone is expecting me to do things the way that my dad did. everyone is expecting me to act and react a certain way and to play games the way that people in Gotham expected to be played, especially when it comes to crime. But I'm a new person and we're going to start playing some new games. Sofia is not in this SUV. I thought that Frances, Oz's mom, was going to be in this SUV and she was going to be in like pieces. It was going to be something straight in from Seven. What's in the box? What's in the box? Oz slowly goes to that SUV, opens it up, pulls out the jacket that Oz's mother would wear, and reveals a bomb. And there's like 19 seconds, and Sofia's like, I think you have time to make it. I think. And if you do, come see us. The bomb explodes. Oz, ironically enough, is able to find shelter in the same location where his brothers died. But everyone else in Oz's crew, they're done. They're dead. They're just body parts. And you just saw like a sinkhole basically collapse onto itself in the middle of Gotham City. And I'm like, this city just cannot catch a break. But Sofia has clearly gone scorched earth. She does not care about the bliss. She doesn't care about being the one that has all the power. She's not trying to do anything. She is just trying to destroy Oz's life. And I think that's going to lead into the next episode. And I think there's going to be some tragedies that's going to befall a lot of people. So we get a flashback to a scene that Oz did describe earlier in the series, where after his brothers died, his mom got them all dolled up and they went to a certain jazz club where they, had a good time. And we see this flashback played out. And Oz's mother, Frances, is just having a hard time. She is grieving. She doesn't know if she's going to be able to survive. And she pleads with Oz as a young child, as a teenager. She's like, I can't do this anymore. I need you to promise me that you're going to create a good life for us. I deserve happiness. I deserve to be happy. Don't I, Oz? Don't I? And Oz is like, yes, Ma, of course you do. And I'm going to give it to you. Of course, Oz has betrayed everyone he has ever had any association with. The only person he hasn't betrayed or lied to, sort of, is his mom, but still, I don't think she is aware that Oz killed his brothers. And I wonder if that would ever come out, if Oz would ever admit to that. And if that happened, would Frances forgive him? I don't think she ever could. So the final scene is Oz rising out of this rubble, and this area of Gotham where this bomb exploded is a war zone. And it's like, the Riddler just did his shit, flooded all of Gotham, and now we got this bomb going off. At some point, you're gonna have to think is gonna have to make an appearance. There's too much crazy shit going on. But then we got the private investigator that Sofia originally hired approaching Oz and knocking him out cold, saying, hey, Sofia's going to see you. And that's where we leave our episode. And we got another crazy cliffhanger. And once again, this is just a great show. This show just doesn't let up. And I am now wondering what's going to happen next week. We got our finale. Oz has been kidnapped. He's going to see Sofia. What is he going to do? How is he going to talk himself out of this? Sofia has gone pure scorched earth. It doesn't even seem like she even cares about being a crime leader in Gotham. All she cares about right now is just hurting Oz. And I think that is not going to bode well for a lot of people. I think there's going to be a lot of ripple effects from how Sofia is feeling, how she's letting her emotions take control. I don't think Frances makes it next week. I think she's dead. But I also think the ripple effect from that is Sofia is probably not going to make it. Even though I want her to. Like I said, I am on Team Sofia. I don't want Oz to make it. He's a terrible, terrible human being. But obviously, we're getting the Batman too, and he's probably going to be the main villain. So I do see him getting out of this unscathed somehow. I don't know how. but we're going to see. But Salvatore Maroni is dead. The whole Maroni crime family is no more. The Falcone crime family is basically no more. Oz's crew is no more. There's basically just Oz, Vic, and the rest of the crime families, and Sofia and whatever remnants she has left. So we're going to see what happens. Is Vic going to come to the rescue last minute with the triads and everyone to save Oz? Is Oz going to be able to talk his way out of things? Is he going to be able to maybe form some alliance with Sofia? Is he going to be able to talk his way into something like that? Is he going to be able to save Francis? So many questions. I am just ready for this. Sunday cannot come fast enough. We need this show. I need this show in my life. And once this is over, then we got the Batman 2 coming. But this was just another great episode. This is a prestige. Everyone, again, is absolute fire. Colin Farrell is amazing. Christin Milioti is amazing. Deidre O'Connor is amazing. Clancy Brown is amazing. Poured out a little liquor for Clancy Brown. But yeah, this show is fantastic. I'm hoping that when it ends its run and we get, some of the nominations for like Emmys, that we see the Penguin show up a lot, because this show just delivered on so many fronts. I am so hoping that next week the finale sticks the landing and we get something truly special, because no episode has been bad. There hasn't even been a mediocre episode. Every episode from this show has been great, has been fire, has been outstanding television. So yeah, I am just ready for next week. So let's just go. But those are my immediate thoughts and feelings on episode 7 of season 1 of The Penguin. What did you guys think of the episode? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.